Allora, abbiamo il nostro primo speech. Messie David Canonico. Dove l'abbiamo? Eccolo qui, è già arrivato. Allora, non sapevamo se fare un'introduzione in francese, in italiano, in inglese, avevamo una multi-possibility, ok? Abbiamo deciso di farla in italiano per tutti voi e quindi Davide ci ha dato questa opportunità. Allora, Davide Canonico, Sales Engineering Director South EMEA di Zebra Technologies. Allora, il suo intervento sarà sul valore oggettivo dell'ESG nella supply chain, quindi essere orientati allo scopo umano e ambientale. Benvenuto Davide.
Scusami. Grazie Dario per la tua introduzione. Mi farebbe tanto piacere dare questa presentazione in italiano, ma non sarà possibile per me oggi. Avrei bisogno di tanti minuti per trovare le buone parole in italiano e non abbiamo abbastanza tempo. Dunque lo farò in inglese, ma un inglese facile, un inglese di francese. Grazie. Dunque, today we will speak about ESG, environmental and social governance. I don't know in the audience how much familiar you are with this acronym and this environment, social and governance strategy. I will first start with a picture of worldwide situation, and then we will go more deeper about the Zebra strategy and how we can really help our customers to improve their ESG strategy, for example, to reduce their carbon footprint. But most important, what I will present you today is nothing about greenwashing. Okay, it's not just painting the walls in green or doing something that seems better, like planting trees. Planting trees could be a positive action, but if you don't change your behavior, your real behavior, it will not improve the situation globally. So no greenwashing in this presentation. Okay, probably the most negative slide for today. Global situation in the world. From human rights, there are some children and forced labor in the world. That's a fact, maybe less in this country or in Europe, but it happens in the world. The second one is about over-exploitation of resources. There are still too much fossil fuels that are overexploited, and what we called rare earth element, specifically in the electronic industry, we need them. And the last one is the climate change. You know what's happening about the sea level rising, about ocean acidification, and as a conclusion, the damage goes on human with more and more deaths caused by climate change. That's the negative part. We can see as well some positive intents, and the first one on the human side I've chosen to illustrate with the Para-Olympic game that has taken place in Paris. See the diversity that has been shown all over the world with Paralympic people, the diversity. And specifically the Italian team has very well performed in the Paralympic game. We have seen the difference, even different, we can do a great achievement. On the second one, on the resource, the World International Organization are mobilizing with international standards, with European directive, the EU Green Deal that has the objective to have Europe the first neutral continent by 2050. And on the last part on the climate, I'm sure you have heard about COP21 in Paris that has stated a goal of limiting at 1.5 degrees to increase the warmth of the planet by 2050. And we start seeing some improvement. The example of Norway. They have now more electric cars than petrol cars on the roads. So at Zebra, we consider ESG really seriously at the middle of our strategy. This is our CEO, Bill Burns, and in his communication in the strategy setups, ESG is for everybody. Whatever you are in marketing, product design, sales, you have a ESG goal in the way you act at Zebra. So the three pillars of ESG is the human capital management, the climate, and the resource conservation. A few words about human capital. I take the example of Zebra, how we preserve, encourage human diversity in culture. We have a goal to hire people that are different. Whatever they come from, whatever they look like, we try to maximize and create a culture of diversity. And what we do at Zebra, we conduct audits as well with our supplier worldwide to check there is diversity, but as well respect of human rights. And as well at Zebra, what we have been implemented is that all employees have got 4 days to deliver to help their communities. It's paid by the company, and it's in these 4 days, we encourage all employees to spend times to help an association, a community, whatever it is, around the environment, around the schools, children that have difficulty at school, whatever it is. Okay? So we not just focus on Zebra itself or its customer, we go as well outside to help our communities. The second major part of an ESG strategy is the resource conservation. The goal at Zebra is to reduce by 50% by 2025 or waste, whatever the division, the department you work for. Design, marketing, sales, we all have this goal. The second part as well is circular economy, I will go after. And of course, limiting the resource extraction, excavation starts with designing products that last longer. Seems obvious, but as we are an enterprise company delivering professional product, when we design it from the beginning, we design it to last more than 1 year, 18 months, like a consumer product would do. You will keep your Zebra device 3 years, 4 years, up to 10 years with the right maintenance service. Okay, so by definition, if you don't construct a new device, you don't go to extract precious soils, rare earth elements from the ground. That is the design. Part of the design, we have started to include more and more recycled plastic. It was not done before, and we start progressively. TC53, for example, has 25% of recycled plastic inside, and with the next MC34, we will go up to 50% of plastic that will be inside the device. When the device is built, it has to be carried over the sea. Here again, we have made a fantastic improvement on the boxes. Seems obvious, but we have stopped using foams, using plastics to put around the device. We have compacted the box to transport, and we have saved up to 77% of space just putting more boxes on the same pallet. And last, at the end, when the device is 3 years, 4 years, and the customer doesn't want this one anymore but wants to purchase a new one, we have a full program of circular economy to collect back these devices, to, for example, disassemble and go to recycling the components that cannot be used anymore. But some of the components can still be used for repair as a spare parts, or we can as well refurbish the device and sell it again to another customer that, for example, is not yet ready for his migration to a new platform. We target 1 million of devices that we have collected and that we will put back on the market by 2024. The last and third big chunk of ESG is, of course, the climate. I think you are all aware, everybody will agree that the greenhouse gases are responsible for warming the planet. I think there is no doubt about that. So, first, if we want to act on that, each company has to work with a protocol that has been worldwide defined by STBI, and that provides a frame of scopes. I don't know if you are familiar with scopes, but I will explain, to understand how much of carbon you release as a company in the atmosphere. There are 3 scopes, and it's important. It's not Zebra framework, it's international framework that all companies now start using. Scope 1, 2, and 3. Let me just explain what are the scope 1 if you don't know. The scope 1 represents the fossil energy you purchase as a company and you burn in your company. Typically, petrol is a good example, gas, maybe coal, but normally it's mainly for you and for Zebra, the petrol and the gas we purchase to make work, the manufacturing, to warm the building. Scope 1. Every company has got a scope 1. The scope, and of course the scope 1 produce carbon footprint. The scope 2 is the electricity you purchase. Because even if you don't burn yourself petrol in your office, you still purchase electricity. And this electricity has been somewhere produced in a way that has created carbons. Of course, it depends if the electricity has been produced with green energy or with coal. But it is your scope 2 and the value of carbons that is released. And the scope 3, it's everything else. Okay? So everything else, we will go in detail what it means. But for Zebra, how we release carbon in the atmosphere, it's not so much the petrol we burn, it's not so much the electricity we purchase, 0.6%, it's mainly the scope 3. And what is in the scope 3 for Zebra? The scope 3, you see the first line, it's when we manufacture electronics, when we produce the devices, the printers, the lasers, the readers, everything produce 36 of the carbon we release in the atmosphere. The second line, for 6%, it's when we transport this electronics we have manufactured to our distributor, to our partner, and to the customer. But the biggest part of the carbon that we create at Zebra, it's not Zebra directly. It's our customers, the end users, when they use the device, for example, when they charge it with electricity to make it work. And it has to be counted at Zebra. We are responsible in the scope 3 for this quantity of carbon that is released by the end user. And that we want, of course, to reduce our footprint, whatever the scope it is, and it is public. It is on a website called Science-Based Target. And we have commitment by 2030 to reduce scope 1 and 2 by 50%, okay, the smallest, but the big challenge is to reduce by 15% our biggest source of emission of carbon. How we will do that? So first, and to help our customer to do it, we have to communicate clearly how much a mobile device, for example, a TC52 in this example, has got as a carbon footprint. A customer must know, if he wants to purchase a Zebra device or another device, he must know for his own evaluation, his own assessment, to know what quantity of carbon it represents. So you have the example for TC52 in this slide by 22 kilograms by the life of the device. But what is interesting, as I've explained you what are the scopes, this value should be different depending where you use the device. If you use it in Italy, you can see it's 20 kilo, because Italy is producing electricity quite green. If you use the same device in Poland, we know Poland uses a lot of coals to produce electricity, the carbon footprint of the same device will be much more in Poland. And we have the capability to evaluate this production in multiple countries in Europe. So the customer that decides to purchase Zebra has a clear picture of the consequence of choosing a device in one country or another. There are other ways for a customer to reduce his carbon footprint. For the example, on the scope 2, the electricity, we recommend him to select equipment that are Energy Star. And at Zebra, 95% of the products we release that are eligible to this certification are Energy Star. Another example is the bioptic. If you work in the retail, when you change your line of point of sale, the bioptic has evolved, and now we are capable to put on the market some scanners that are 50% less consuming electricity than the one that were available 5 years ago. And last, probably the most unknown, it's about PC, desktop PC. If you have desktop PC in your supply chain, in the warehouse, in the store, you know that there is a fan on the desktop PC, there is a hard drive, there is a lot of components consuming electricity. And not all the time you have somebody in front of this device to use it. Why not using a mobile device you have with you? You can work with it on a mobility situation. And when you need a stable station, a workstation, you plug into a cradle, a workstation cradle, and then you have here your keyboard, your mouse, your screen, your display, and you can work like if you had a normal desktop PC. Doing that, you remove your PC, you just have a mobile device and a workstation cradle, you save 50% of your electricity bill. And you reduce, by definition, your Scope 2 carbon footprint. I will finish this presentation with 3 examples. 3 real examples of companies that have implemented some solutions to reduce their emission of carbon. The first one, it's a really new technology for most of us. It's what we call linerless. Very easy to explain. When you use a printer, typically on your left, you use labels, okay, with a liner that is stick to the label stick to the liner. We have now a technology called linerless. You see on your right, that is like a tape roll. There is no predefined size of the label, and so there is no liner as well. A lot of advantage for this technology. 3 advantages. The first one, by definition, you reduce the waste. You don't have the liner anymore. You don't have to think about get rid of this plastic liner in a specific bin. You don't have it. The second one is that you reduce the size of the material. On the same roll, you don't have the liner. You can put much more labels, and you can print exactly the size of the label you need. If you need a small label of 2 centimeters, you print 2 centimeters. If you need 10 centimeters, you adapt, you print 10 centimeters. You don't have any more predefined size of labels. And the last one, if you carry more labels in the same roll, you put more in your box, more in the same truck or boat. And here again, you save a lot of useless energy to carry the supplies. We have helped a customer of us had a very serious, aggressive target reducing his waste. Okay, it was his yearly goal. Using Zebra Linerless, he has been able to achieve much faster. He will achieve in 2024 a goal he would have achieved maybe 2 years later to reduce the number of waste he had in his factory. It's available on all Zebra printer, and now even on the industrial printer, you can switch from a legacy liner printer with a kit to a linerless printer. The second example I will take is to reduce the waste, the loss in the supermarket. We have worked with an ISV called the Smart Way that has a solution to answer this challenge. The challenge is that 1/3 of the food that is produced worldwide is lost. It's not consumed, it's not purchased, it's totally lost. And in a store, average, and I think it's more, but the customer said, this was 1.3% he was not able to sell in terms of food. He was throwing in the bin because not sold on time. And not selling on time, it's a problem of multiple problems, of revenue you lose, but as well some people you have to manage this food that will not be sold, that is useless. So there is a solution with SmartWay, a software solution that helps a retailer to decide the goods, the food that is about to expire in terms of date. What will he do with that? He has a mobile computer. based on the mobile computer information, the employee can decide to discount the product because the end of life, the time of eating, how do you say in English, I don't know, the date to eat the product is coming very fast, for example, 24 hours, one day. So with a printer, a mobile printer Zebra, he stick a label, discount 30%, 40%, to help this food to go out quickly with a good discount. Or he can decide as well to donate to charity the food that will not be sold in the store itself. It has been implemented with Auchan. I'm sure you know Auchan, the retailer. They have started 6 months on some supermarkets, hypermarkets, and they had so fantastic return on investment, not only reducing the waste, they were putting in the bin, in the trash, much less goods, but as well they have increased by 0.9% the margin of the store, which for retailer is excellent. That's why Auchan will go with Smartway and Zebra for an international rollout of this solution. The third and last example I will take, it's about food. For a French guy, speaking about American restaurants is maybe weird, but it's reality. In France, from 1st of January 2023, there is a law that will come to Europe that says that restaurants cannot use anymore disposable dishes, which makes sense. At home, you don't have disposable dishes, and a traditional restaurant doesn't use disposable dishes. So disposable dishes, okay, you trash when you have finished your meal, you put in the bin. So McDonald's had a problem by the definition of their restaurant. I'm sure you know what is a McDonald's restaurant. And they had to find a solution to use reusable dish. For a traditional restaurant, it's a no-brainer, it's easy. For McDonald's, if you know a McDonald's kitchen, you don't have the place to install a washing machine, to store this kind of reusable dishes. You have to externalize a little bit far from your restaurant to group with other restaurants to wash the dishes and to then have the dishes coming back to the restaurant with a very accurate store. Because if you have no more dishes, you don't serve anymore your customers. So McDonald's went to a kind of mix of plastic, glass, permanent dishes they can wash with the challenges I've just told you. So if you want an accurate inventory of your dishes and cutlery that will be moving from a remote washing machine to the store and have an accurate store of what you can serve to your customer, they have selected the technology RFID, which is very easy to track permanently where are the dishes. So it's a tag that is now in each single piece of dishes in the restaurant. Very important to track it, not only for the stock you have, but as well to check that your customers that eat in the restaurant, they don't trash your new dishes in the usual bin you have. So you have to detect if it goes in the wrong bin. With Zebra technologies, you have mobile readers to make an inventory. You have fixed readers to detect if the dishes are in the wrong place, and you can then save it and continue to reuse it. All that with the right software to make communication between all the parties. What I tell you, it's as well certified by independent third-party companies such as EcoVadis that has rated Zebra on 4 different criteria: environment, labor, ethics, and procurement. We are benchmarked with other companies. We have reached this year the silver medal, and we want to go for the gold because it is a valuable, respected criteria on the market about how Zebra is serious taking ESG as the heart, the core of the strategy. To wrap up, in conclusion, what I would say is that if you're a customer, I would really encourage you to pay attention to companies that make efforts to produce a better world, less carbon footprint, with a real strategy to improve the situation. I think Zebra really is doing. Sometimes you can feel it's a small effort. It's a small step in the environment we live in, but I think if everybody makes small and real, sincere actions, we can really make this world better, environmental and social. Grazie tutti.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur David. It's thank you for your good, polite, and clear English. It's not Frenchish, but it's English, okay. It's very funny, interesting that you use many times AI-generated imaging on your slides.
That's correct. It's a part of the Zebra policy. We have an internal image GPT tool, and the guidelines is that it mustn't offend anybody. We mustn't break the rules of patents, but as well, we don't want to fool the audience, people that watch the presentation or see the presentation, and it's a corporate policy to mention it has been AI generated.
Thank you, Monsieur David.